Greetings, dearest viewers, and welcome to the Brahma Kumari's Raja Yoga meditation channel, Sri Lanka. Brahma Kumaris is a worldwide organization focusing on personal transformation and world renewal. Headquarters is based in India, Mount Abu. The Brahma Kumaris organization is widespread over 110 countries. And today our topic of discussion is focused on leadership and women empowerment. To discuss this, we have an inspiring speaker, Sister Gopi from Brahma Kumaris, United Kingdom. It's great honor for me to introduce our speaker, Sister Gopi, who is a spiritual educator and senior Raja Yoga teacher. With over 28 years of experience, Sister Gopi has been involved in many initiatives, particularly focusing on young leaders' development, women empowerment, and she's also participated in discussions about interfaith. Now today, let us look into a broader perspective of how these women empowerment and leadership blend together, particularly focusing on the current situation we have in the world of work in Sri Lanka. Sister Gopi, you've spoken about trustee in power. So I would like to know today about responsible leadership. What do you see as the role of meditation and spiritual values in organization, particularly in leadership?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. In the subject of leadership, I'll tell you a story. I was just meeting a former minister, and in meeting him, he was talking about his life when he served as a minister. And his own feelings was that if I become a politician or a minister, I'm here to serve. Whereas nowadays, becoming a politician or a minister is interpreted as authority. And so for me, the sense of leadership is rooted in the understanding of deep spiritual power. Power that serves, power that has humility, power that has honesty in it, and a power that is internalized. In other words, it sets an example for the society. That if I'm going to ask somebody to do something, then I need to have done it myself first. And somehow, our understanding of power has changed, because our sense of trusteeship is no longer there. We don't consider ourselves to be custodians and trustees of power. Instead, we assume power in an authoritative way, which then only in the long term serves to divide and create conflicts.
Thank you. So particularly focusing on conflicts today, Sri Lanka has gone through many difficulties, starting from the war and then economic crisis. There are people who continue to work here and serve their families, and there are those who have gone overseas and working, sustaining their families. Having said that, they are also concerned about their families back at home. So what would be your advice for the workforce entering into such leadership roles?
It has to start from inside, especially from one's own conscience. I remember many years ago, we were a group of young people and we had the chance to meet Sonia Gandhi. And in the short interaction we had with her, somebody said to her, how do you manage your political life? How do you manage, decisions you have to make? And she gave a very beautiful answer. She said, I've made my conscience my best friend. And I think that's the first place to start, because leadership requires integrity. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, what are you doing, but if I can start from a place of honesty and sincerity and start to integrate things in my life, start to do what I'm saying I will do. Sometimes we think this much of what we think, we speak this much of what we speak, we do this much. So there are gaps inside ourselves and we raise expectations. But spiritual integrity is about, well, understanding what I have to do in my life and focusing all my thought and feeling energy for that, accomplishing that, and then moving on. So I think I would say start by listening to your conscience and make effort to go slow. I have a mantra, slow is fast. When we try to go too quickly because we're trying to keep up in the rat race or we're comparing ourselves with others, inevitably we will miss something out. We will miss out how we feel, how we think, and that itself, it creates a bit of an integrity crisis. So I would say start there.
Sister, you mentioned about integrity and values, particularly when leaders are living those values, it builds trust. Now, in those contexts, I've also known that you've initiated programs like Choose, Change and Become. What are the underlying principles or practices, and what sort of outcomes you have seen through this program?
Was first initiated by our American chapter, and it was during a time when President Obama had just been elected and in effect had broken a glass ceiling in politics, being the first African American president. And I think there was a wave amongst young people at that time that actually, if we put our mind to it, we can become anything we want. And so it started with that impetus that when you go back to the seeds of self-empowerment, it's about what are the choices I'm making, on what are the values on the basis of the choices I'm making, what are the changes I need to make in my life to align to those values, and that will determine what I become. Now, as we've progressed over the years, and maybe the program's been going for like almost 18, 19 years in different countries, we've started to see and understand a changing landscape in youth development. Before, youth were being developed in hard skills for the country, to support the growth of the country, the economy of the country, technological skills, business management skills, industrial skills. But then as time progressed, what we observed was that there was a need for an input of emotional intelligence. So things connected to stress management, time management, communication, relationship management. Because one thing is to get the job done, but another is actually creating a sense of emotional well-being in the process. So a whole range of activities, processes that were designed to enhance emotional well-being came into place. And then what I observed, and this is where we came in with the program in certain countries, was that even deeper than just managing relationships and, the workplace, your time, young people were losing motivation. Motivation and enthusiasm and the proactivity to contribute back to society. And this isn't a skill issue, this is a spiritual issue. And so we basically designed the whole program to enhance spiritual intelligence in a young person so that they can start to access their inner core, their inner selves, understand themselves better, their thoughts, their feelings, what is it that drives them, what are their values base, so that they can start to re-energize themselves and stay motivated no matter what. I mean, we are living in a time where things are getting more difficult. Economically, financially, everything is getting difficult. And young people are giving up. There are some young people that are seeing the opportunity and shining, but there's a lot that are kind of giving up, probably giving up to their mobile phones, more happy playing on social media than actually pulling themselves together to think about what is the contribution I can make to society. So the program has served to support and created a lot of transformation in many young leaders worldwide. And in some cases, one of the outcomes has been young people have proactively started to create volunteer groups to give back to the community, give back to the country. So that, our growth in life is we need to understand, as we receive, so we give. As we receive, so we give. And as we create the circulation, we are helping ourselves and helping others to grow.
Thank you. Speaking about diversity, you've been deeply involved in various initiatives on women empowerment. Could you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, I think over time, I've been involved in initiatives for young women. There was a program called the Feminine Renaissance, where we were looking at the principles of soft power in leadership. What are the specialities that women can bring to tailor leadership to allow growth and nurture in an organization? And I think I draw these inspirations from the movement, the Brahma Kumaris movement itself, because way back in 1936, this was a time when women had no legal rights. They had no rights of their own for an education. And against that backdrop, the founder of the Brahma Kumaris went through a series of visions, and he saw a changing new world. And he saw that the custodians of that change were women. And he created a trust of 8 women and handed over the leadership to them. And of course, empowering women in those times was not taboo, but it was not comfortable for society. So there was a pushback. And many women were prevented from going to the gatherings, empowering themselves spiritually by their families, because their families were afraid they would lose them. And many, many things happened against those women, but court cases happened as well. And fundamentally, the absolute determination and faith that Brahma Baba had, the founder, to really empower women, especially mothers. So long mothers have been kind of put down to the lowest in society. And the empowerment of mothers, because they are at the foundation of the most basic economy, the family. And everybody has a mother. And that mother plays a significant role in her child's life. And so if the mothers transform, if the mothers change, if the mothers rise up, then what is not possible in society? And so historically, the Brahma Kumaris and whatever has happened in the history, they have contributed to the changing landscape of women's rights in India. And our leadership in our constitution, it states that all the leadership positions are held by women. By all means, it's not a feminist organization, because men and women are there equally and working together in cooperation. But this deep understanding that the feminine principle nurtures spirituality, brings it out of somebody. You don't dictate spirituality. Spirituality is something that has to be unearthed gently and with a lot of love. And the feminine quality can support that, of care, of nurture, of listening. So all of those provide the right crucible to help somebody emerge their spirituality. So the leadership in the Brahma Kumaris for so many years after the founder passed away has been held by women. We call them the elder sisters, the daddies. And my passion has always been for them to share their stories and their principles of how they have led with their feminine qualities.
That is very inspiring. Talking about mothers, particularly those who are in the path of career as well, in today's world, some women face a lot of oppressions, barriers, and that could lead to suppressing the emotions. I would say that they are not able to express themselves fully. What is your advice to those mothers out there who are also juggling household role as a mother, as a daughter-in-law, managing work?
I think it's very essential for women across the board to find some time for themselves. What happens is that in the to-do list, Everybody else is on top and they are at the bottom. And what women don't realize is if they don't empower themselves and nourish themselves, then they are actually not very effective in what they're doing. So they end up working harder. You know, there's an old Buddhist saying, meditate for 20 minutes a day, but if you're very busy, then meditate for an hour. Why? Because that's your source of power to manage everything in your life. So if you keep putting yourself to one side, putting your space for self-reflection to one side, and trying to get the job done, you'll end up working harder. So my suggestion is take time out, learn how to meditate, take at least the first 15 minutes of the day as your own, and you'll find a big difference in your life.
Thank you so much, Sister Gopi, for coming today and giving us thought-provoking information and ideas and methods to empower ourselves and the leaders, also women. Stay tuned for more inspiring topics, and if you have any suggestions, welcome on our channel platform. Please keep posting. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Gopi.
Thank you.